He's going to be the one that's presenting the information today. Josh has been employed by the American Concrete Pipe Association for over 16 years and has also been involved with the research and technical reviews behind the LRFD requirements that we're going to be talking about today. Josh?
Thank you, Tom. Good afternoon, all you folks out there, and thank you all for joining us this afternoon. We are going to talk about AASHTO LRFD design specifications and how they affect culverts. My guess is it will take between an hour and a half to get through this. Thank you all for taking the time to listen. A couple weeks from now, after we go through some of this background information and what LRFD requires, a couple weeks from now we'll do another one on Boxcar, which is a software program we have for designing box culverts. That program is now available through ACPA. Actually, we ordered some CDs and they came in not packaged correctly, so we're going to have some new ones brought in next week. But that program will be available soon, and then we'll, once again, we'll have a webinar on that in a couple weeks. So this should be a good precursor for that. Now is probably a good time to look at LRFD design requirements. In some ways, perhaps a little late. Way back in June 20th, 2000, there was an FHWA memo that went out saying that all new culverts, retaining walls, and other standard structures basically have to be LRFD by October 2010. So, as I mentioned, perhaps we're a little late in doing this. My apologies for that, but we are LRFD now for culverts, so we thought we'd get out there and give you folks an idea of how we see LRFD designs and how they correlate with designing a culvert. So we'll be looking at the AASHTO design specifications, in particular LRFD, but just a brief history excuse me, on the standard specs. The old standard specs, when you design culverts, you have to look at Section 3 for loads, Section 6 for culverts, which is like a generic section for culverts, a one-page section, actually very small. If you're designing, say, box culverts, you have to check out Section 8 for reinforced concrete, and then the culverts themselves have their own sections, Section 12 for metal, Section 16 for concrete, and Section 17 for thermoplastic pipe. LRFD is kind of truncated that a little bit for us. In some ways made life easier, some ways more difficult. We'll see in the future here, but you still have a section you have to deal with on loads to accommodate what kind of loads you'll be applying to your culverts. In case of some of the box culvert issues, we'll be looking at structural analysis through Section 4, concrete design in Section 5, and then there's Section 12 deals with buried structures and tunnel liners. And that essentially is an all-encompassing section now, whereas we used to have Section 12, 16, and 17 for metal, concrete, and thermoplastic. We now have one Section 12 that kind of engulfs all those. Of course, that Section 12 is broken up to address the different culverts. Your first few sections, Section 12.1 to 12.6, are really basics on like minimum covers, spacing between your pipe, and things like that deal with kind of all pipe materials. And then you have your other sections that deal specifically with different pipe materials. Section 12.7 would be for metal pipe, Section 12.8 for long span structural plate, 12.9 for structural plate box structures, 12.12 for thermoplastic pipes, and 12.13 for steel tunnel liner plates. So those are the non-concrete ones that we won't be talking about today, but just to give you an idea of where they are in the section. Now the concrete structures, you have Section 12.10 for reinforced concrete pipe, Section 12.11 for precast box culverts and arches as well, and cast in place box culverts, and Section 12.14 for precast three-sided structures. So these are the sections you go to get a start on evaluating the structures. And as I mentioned a couple slides earlier, these are going to refer you back to some of the load sections, some of the design sections, some of the geotech sections even. So but this is where you get your start. For our case today, we're going to talk about pipe and box culverts. Probably a little more stress on the box culverts than we do the pipe, but I want to cover both since both are culverts and both are materials that are required to be designed for LRFD. So we're going to take a look at reinforced concrete pipe and precast box culverts today.